Jeanne, thank you so much for joining us as part of our series Buckle Up, where we're looking at really surviving divisive times as people of faith. Just to kick us off, Jeanne, introduce yourself to us and tell us a little bit about your family makeup.
Sure. I'm Jeanne. I live in Northern Virginia for the past 35 years, 34 next month with my husband. He is from Ghana, West Africa. I joke my grandparents came by boat. He came by plane.
And, I mean, it seems almost ridiculous in some ways to be talking about these things in 2020, but, as a part of a mixed race marriage, I mean, give us an idea of some of the things you've maybe had to face from time to time.
Impacts where we choose to live. It impacts us going to dinner. On the humorous side, I don't pay attention to what people say or do. But my husband will walk out of a restaurant and he goes, "We just ruined someone's meal." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I go, "They saw us, and they were just so disgusted." You know how parents stand next to the kids near the bus station? My son didn't want me anywhere near him. He wanted me far away. And I knew it was because we had two different colors of skin. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. He's a kid. You got to give your kids some grace, right? He's a grown man with two children. It still bothers him today that why was he put in a position that he had to think about leaving the side of his mother because of the color of her skin. He's like, why does a child even have to think that way?
I can't really imagine what that experience is like. I would imagine for a lot of us, we don't. And, but I find myself in the things that have some impact on me. I get drawn in, I'm so angry about something or whatever it is that it really starts to get inside me. I mean, how do you guard your heart against just being angry at the world you live in and the way they respond to you as a family?
I'm actually learning a lot from the Black community because they face so much adversity. So I already knew and I realized with my husband, I walked into love. 19 years before we got married, it was illegal in my state of Virginia. We weren't allowed to get married. And I didn't think anything of it. I'm going to marry who I want to marry. But 19 years ago, at that time, it wasn't true. And so how do you guard your heart with that? How do you not get angry? It's really funny. It's love. My mom opposed it. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm walking in love. I'm walking in truth. This is good. And that's the best power I have, is to walk in love and truth. So Micah 6:8 is a great provision for us to soak in. You've got to love mercy. You've got to act justly, and you got to walk humbly with your God. I have to remember that, to act with kindness and then walk humbly. And it's really a good thing for everybody to do in every part of life. If I just pause, if I just exhale and just be patient, there's something to happen around the corner, something better.
That's not easy, is it?
No. That's why patience is a virtue, right?
And Jeanne, for perhaps obvious reasons, you've got very involved with the work of racial reconciliation. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
It's actually pretty funny. It's not as obvious as you think. The first 30 years, I didn't pay attention to it. But in 2017, with the Charlottesville tragedy, I was so shocked to see what happened there. And then the police brutality and killings, I didn't understand. And then to top it off, because I have been in a racial marriage, I told a young friend, a young Christian, that, I guess I've just raised colorblind. And he gently and quietly said, that's not a good phrase. And so here I kind of wore it as a badge of honor, and it's not a good phrase. So I decided I had to learn more.
And tell me some of the things you do as part of your work in racial reconciliation.
Sure. So I got active as far as intentional action last year. My pastor asked me to help out and promote a movie called Emmanuel. And that's about the church where there was a killings. I believe it was 9 people. And with that, we try to get people into the movie theaters and to see this documentary, understand it. And then we had discussions afterwards. And it was very powerful getting groups together to do that.
You tell me about some of the resources that you've drawn on that you found to be most helpful.
Okay. Well, it's really funny. I think when you think about resources, the first one are 2 years and a soft heart. And it's hard to remember that, but we have a racial reconciliation study and started it last fall, and it went so well that everyone kept on meeting, and we kept on saying, what do we do next? And this past summer, we started a group, and it's the same thing. This group is young, old, black, white, everything. And we walked in there to listen and to learn from each other. And that's a great resource. And then educationally, we decided everyone needs the education. So I highly recommend Brene Brown, a live book Facebook stream. Anyone who's a newbie and curious, go watch this. It's great. And we need to keep talking about Charlottesville. It's wonderful. And then for us, we basically in our study, PBS Reconstruction series, it's a 4-hour series documentary. It teaches you. And then we followed up with the Repentance Project, American Lament. And it's a devotional series that takes us from the beginning, 1600s to today. And so education is power. And that's the resources that are so important.
And give me a sense from, you are a person of faith, you go to church, you read the scriptures, and at times it must be very hard when, you see some of the sorts of things you're talking about, even in the church. But give me a sense of, what sorts of practices perhaps, or ways that you exercise your faith that you found helpful to guard your heart.
Part of this, because it is such a big problem, I find that my human nature is I got to solve my own problems. And I've learned over the last 11 years, it's like, why don't I knock on God's door? And I'm really grateful that the church is involved and engaged. The church, to me, has an obligation based on its history to do something. And there are willing people in the church to have conversations and to move it forward and to make action. So it's been really delightful that I am turning to God to solve a big, big problem. Last thing for you, thank you for the question of guard your heart, because it really got me thinking, like, how do I do that? And I really realized the answer was love. It was so sweet to figure that out. So thank you.
Thanks, Jeanne.
Bye.